Welcome in to Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks for being here. Giants at Jaguars Sunday, 1 p.m. at the bank. Giants are 5-1, Jaguars are 2-4, but the Jaguars are still favored in this one by 3 points. They're coming off 3 straight losses. Giants coming off 3 straight wins. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to get into some key matchups to watch on Sunday, Week 7 matchup between the Giants and the Jaguars. First, though, I'd like to remind you to follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar, at Generation Jag. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel further, you can go check out GenJag.com, pick up some new gear. You can also become a channel member. Appreciate y'all for your support. Links in the description below. Matchups to watch. This is going to be a fun one. There's a ton of matchups to look at here and try to parse through and figure out which matchups are going to be critical for the Jaguars and the Giants in this contest. I think it starts up front, and I think it starts with Dexter Lawrence versus Luke Fortner and Tyler Shatley, and even Brandon Sheriff, but I think Brandon Sheriff's going to be able to hold his own. But when you talk about Dexter Lawrence, he's playing the best football of his life right now, former Clemson Tiger, right? He and Trevor have that connection, but this is a massive interior defensive lineman who you'd expect to be primarily a run stuffer, but he's been creating penetration from the nose tackle position, lining up over guards, lining up in between guards and tackles, getting a little 4-eye action going on. I mean, this is a guy who they are aligning all over the defensive interior, and he's wreaking havoc. So when you look at his ability to wreak havoc combined with Luke Fortner and Tyler Shatley coming in as the backup for Ben Barch, who sustained a season-ending knee injury at left guard. How does he hold up? How does Luke Fortner hold up? This is a rookie center going up against Dexter Lawrence, who, sure, he might not be Aaron Donald or Chris Jones, but this is a guy playing at a Pro Bowl level right now. He's racking up sacks. He's racking up pressures. He's playing with high energy. Despite being one of the bigger interior defensive linemen in the game, he's playing an incredibly high percentage of the snaps for the Giants. So he's not just going to go away. It's not like you're only going to have to face him here and there. Dexter Lawrence is a problem, and you've also got Big Cat Leonard Williams playing in there next to him. So I think Luke Fortner and Tyler Shatley really have their work cut out for them up front, both in the running game and in pass protection. So they're going to have to be sound. They're going to have to be on their keys, and they're going to have to help each other out. Now, switching sides of the ball. The Giants' passing game is a bit depleted, right? No Kenny Golladay, no Kadarius Toney, no Sterling Shepard. So what do? They went out this offseason during the NFL draft, picked up Wan'Dale Robinson out of Kentucky in the second round, an offensive playmaker, a receiver, a guy you can move around the formation. He came back last week, and I thought he acquitted himself well. He had been dealing with some injury issues of his own. He came back, played really well for the Giants. They're going to primarily align him in the slot, but they can move him around as well. And he has such great pace and just quick, fluid movements. He really is able to create separation, very fluid in space. So who do the Jaguars have lined up in the slot? We just received confirmation that Shaquille Griffin is out for the Jaguars in this contest. Jaguars outside corner, starting outside corner, who had a rough go of it against the Colts in Week 6. He's not playing. So do you have Trey Herndon in the slot? Does Darius Williams kick out to the outside where he's been playing most of his career until he got to Jacksonville this year? That's what I would do. That's what I'd be looking at. But whoever is lined up in that slot, they're going to be seeing a whole lot of Wan'Dale Robinson, and they're going to need to be ready for it, whether it's Trey Herndon or Darius Williams. Wan'Dale, he can beat you. His combine and all that stuff wasn't the most flashy, but you look at his ability to create separation between him and his defender, and he can be a real problem for you. So I'm interested to see how the Jaguars handle that. But they've also got Darius Slayton, who can play wide receiver, who can get open down the field. So Jaguars are gonna have to worry about that. But I'm really interested in how they defend Wan'Dale Robinson and who the Jaguars have in the slot primarily during this contest. flipping back to Jaguars offense versus Giants defense. And this isn't about the Giants defense. It's specifically about the Jaguars offense, and even more specifically about Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence versus himself. Talked about this last week. A lot of times when Trevor Lawrence doesn't have great games, it's self-inflicted wounds. It's him not reading the defense or not being patient or not just taking what's there underneath. The Giants are going to try to bring a lot of pressure. They're going to try to confuse you, not only on the back end, but also up front with their defensive fronts. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be chaotic. Trevor Lawrence is going to have to remain disciplined, stay on his keys, make sure that he's reading the field properly, feeling the pressure, not getting too antsy in the pocket, and just play within himself. I think if he plays within himself and within the Jaguars offense, he should have no problem moving the ball, hitting Travis Etienne, James Robinson, Evan Ingram, hitting these guys on underneath stuff, hitting them on middle of the field stuff, where you can get them matched up with linebackers, with safeties. I like the Giants safeties, but you get Travis Etienne, James Robinson, some of these guys lined up against a safety, and they're going to have an advantage, in my opinion. So I think that the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, you just need to play within yourself, not try to force it in there down the field, and you'll be just fine. And I think he's got a shot to have some big completions down the field, because when you talk about the Giants, if you can block the blitz, if you can block it up and scheme it up properly, and maybe even have somebody else extra in protection, go big, then you'll have opportunities down the field. And the Giants haven't given up a ton down the field. But look, if you've got a team that is heavily blitzing you and you're able to pick up that blitz and give your quarterback some time, they can find players down the field in man coverage. I think that's going to be interesting to see if Trevor Lawrence can find some deep shots, but I don't want him to force the issue there. I want him to take what is there against this Giants defense, get the ball out quickly, and just get it into the hands of players in space when the Giants are blitzing you, specifically Travis Etienne. And speaking of Travis Etienne, not only Travis Etienne, the receiver out of the backfield, the guy you're going to want to hit on screens, all that fun stuff, but Travis Etienne, the runner, and also James Robinson versus the Giants linebackers. I think the Jaguars have a massive advantage when you talk about their running game versus the Giants' run defense. Even though you've got Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams in the middle there, there's not going to be any Azeez Ojulari. There's not going to be any O'Shane Ximines in this game. So I think the Giants on the edges, you have Kayvon Thibodeau and you have a backup plan over there on the opposite edge. You have Jalen Smith. You have these linebackers. I don't think that the Giants defense is going to be able to hold up on the edges against Travis Etienne. I really don't think they will be able to, and I think that's going to be key, getting Travis Etienne going, which the Jaguars have been doing in games recently, and he's been magnificent, busting off huge runs the last couple weeks, being really consistent, picking up big chunks of yardage. I think that the Jaguars need to make sure they're featuring Travis Etienne and really feature him even more than they have been. Even in the last couple games, they've been getting him the ball, but I think you need to feed Travis Etienne over and over and over again in this one until they prove that they can slow him down, get him in space, get the ball to him in creative ways, and attack those edges of the Giants' run defense. Now, Jaguars have some fun runners. The Giants might have the best running back in football right now in Saquon Barkley. He is an unbelievable talent, and I think him versus the Jaguars linebackers, when you talk about Devin Lloyd, who's a rookie, coming off of not one of his best games of the season, certainly in coverage. But I think Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun, if Foye Oluokun plays, because he is questionable, which I expect him to be able to go. But even if he can't, you do have Chad Muma, who you've been grooming for that role anyways, and I think you could feel okay about that. But certainly it would be a rough first start having to try to wrangle Saquon Barkley. But I think if the Jaguars linebackers can take good angles, get off blocks, and swarm to the football, they'll have a chance to not stop Saquon Barkley, but to slow him down, to not allow him to win the game for the Giants because he's been their primary offense so far. He has been their leading receiver in terms of receptions. He has run the ball over and over and over and over again. That's been their primary source of offense is Saquon Barkley. So if you can slow down Saquon, I think you have a chance to have a decent defensive day against this Giants offense. Finally, we're getting into it here. Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, Jaguars 2 edge defenders versus Andrew Thomas, Giants left tackle, who is going to play, dealing with an elbow, but he looks like he's going to play, and Giants right tackle Evan Neal. For one, you've got Evan Neal versus Trayvon Walker. Evan Neal was a really highly touted draft prospect, my favorite prospect in the class this year. He's playing right tackle for the Giants. Trayvon Walker's playing on the left side primarily for the Jaguars, defensive left side, offensive right side. So you're going to see those two go head to head. Trayvon Walker, 1st overall pick. Evan Neal, 7th overall pick. They played each other twice in 2021 at Alabama and Georgia respectively. Trayvon Walker at Georgia, Evan Neal at Alabama. And they had some good battles. I think Evan Neal won overall, but you could definitely look at what Trayvon Walker did and see some really impressive things. I'm certain that the Jaguars did see in those contests. The Bulldogs and the Crimson Tide split last year. Alabama got the best of them in the SEC championship, and Georgia won the Natty. Trayvon Walker was a big part of that. But then also Josh Allen, who's been playing really good football, hadn't had his biggest games the last couple of weeks. He's been going against teams that were getting the ball out really quickly. Houston was running the ball a lot, and when they were throwing it, Davis Mills was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And then last week, Matt Ryan was getting it out before pressure was able to get to him. But he'll be going up against Andrew Thomas, who Thomas is another Georgia guy. Josh Allen is a Kentucky guy. So you've got a ton of SEC players in this contest, even more than we've mentioned right here. Obviously, Tyson Campbell's SEC. A lot of it. A lot of really big-time college football players and players that have played in big-time games in college football playing in this contest. But Josh Allen versus Andrew Thomas, I think Andrew Thomas is playing some of the best left tackle in the game right now. I think Josh Allen is trying to prove that he belongs among the defensive elite at defensive end / outside linebacker. This is a big opportunity for both players to kind of put a stamp on this season. Be like, look, I just dominated Josh Allen if you're Andrew Thomas, and vice versa. Josh Allen, if you go out there, you get a sack or two against Andrew Thomas, that is a big time game for you. So that is going to do it. A lot of really fun matchups in this one. Again, the Jaguars are favored by 3 despite being 2-4, where the Giants are 5-1. Jaguars coming off 3 straight losses. Giants with 3 straight wins. We'll see how we'll see how it plays out. I think on paper, the Jaguars' greatest advantage is their running game versus the Giants' run defense. The Giants have the worst run defense in football, allowing an average of 5.6 yards per carry. The Jaguars are running the ball extremely effectively as of late, and Travis Etienne, kind of mirroring the Giants, is averaging 5.6 yards per carry himself. So I think you've got to feed these running backs early and often. The Jaguars did a good job of starting the game out with the running game last week. And they kind of trailed off with it during the second quarter at times and throughout the game. They need to have a steady dose of Travis Etienne and James Robinson, in my opinion, if they want to win this football game. Because putting it all on Trevor Lawrence against a Don Wink Martindale defense that's going to blitz, it's going to play man coverage, is going to be difficult if that's the type of game you're trying to play here. But it'll be interesting. Last week, the Colts came out. They broke tendency. You know, they're known as a heavy rushing team. They decided we're just going to pass the ball. We're going to target Shaquille Griffin. We're going to run these crossers. We're going to get the ball out of Matt Ryan's hands quickly. That was a tendency breaker. I think that came as a surprise to the Jaguars defensive coordinator, Mike Caldwell, in the game plan department. What are the Giants going to do? They're primarily a rushing team as well. But you know the Jaguars have a good run defense. You know that Shaquille Griffin is out for this game. You know they've struggled with the underneath stuff lately, the Jaguars have. Do the Giants come out and try to emulate what the Colts did? The Colts came out with tempo. They came out passing the ball. Do the Giants run tempo? Do the Giants run some zone read stuff? steal a page from the playbook of the Eagles in week 5 when the Eagles came out, or excuse me, week 4 when the Eagles came out and they were just really making it difficult for the Jaguars linebackers and defensive front to key on who had the ball, Jalen Hurts or Miles Sanders. Giants can do that too with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. It's going to be interesting to see how the Jaguars respond, how the Jaguars coaching staff and the players on the field respond to what the Giants are doing. Can't wait for this matchup. We will get into keys to victory and bold predictions a little bit later on. Probably look for that Saturday morning. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Let me know what your key matchups are here. Follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. You can also hit that notification bell so you don't miss a show on here. You can go on genjag.com, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member. We've got links in the description below. Happy Friday, Duval.